Hi there, welcome to Hey Sound Guy, the podcast where I'll be peeking behind the curtains of the wonderful world of music. Each week I'll be speaking to sound engineers, music industry professionals, musicians, and anybody I think is interesting, basically. And we'll get to know them a little bit better, get some fun stories from the road. Now, my next guest is a young engineer, drummer, producer, recording artist, mixing engineer. He's just done a little bit of everything, and he's currently got a studio where he's doing a bit of recording. And as you'll hear, luckily the lockdown hasn't impeded so much, and he's had a session after our little session. Ladies and gentlemen, it was a pleasure talking to this man. Give it up for the great Finn Lomax.
Okay, thanks for having me, Tians.
Thanks, man. Thanks for doing this.
My
I
pleasure.
see you're in the studio there today. Have you got any work? Have you got any work going?
Yeah, I have a session right after this, actually. I'm working with this duo called Blitz Playhouse, and we're doing like a shoegaze indie rock sort of EP, which is quite fun. So
Fantastic.
we're still in pre-production right now, but yeah, it's a good crack.
Nice one, man. Right. How I like to start these things normally is if you could introduce yourself and tell us what it is that you do.
Cool. So my name's Finn Lomax. I'm a drummer, engineer, mixer. Been in London for about 10 years now and spend most of my time when we're not in a pandemic touring. And when I'm not in the back lounge of a bus, I'm usually here making records.
Fantastic.
And that's about it.
Right. So you're a hybrid engineer. You do both live and studio stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be honest, I'm quite green in the touring world. I've only been doing that for a couple of years. But I've been recently like mixing monitors and like sort of working my way up from like backline and audio tech world.
As it goes.
But I still tour with a couple of artists and I do like backline and audio tech for them, which is still fun. But yeah, I've got a couple of things in the pipeline in monitor world, which is great. You know, that's where I want to be. I'm not quite ready for front of house, man. It's like it's well,
sort of, yeah. But I mean, you're a little bit more free if you only have to do the front of house, because then you can, you just worry about what's coming out rather than having to satisfy however many musicians on stage. So I mean, one of the craziest. Was it The Damned? I did at the London Palladium. And that was a bit of a challenge, to be honest with you, because I'd run two desks. The one was a Avid SC48, and the other one was the Behringer X32. And yeah, so I had to run half the monitors from the one desk and half the monitors from the other desk, and some of them had in-ears. The whole band had in-ears, and there was a 8-piece string orchestra, and half of them had ears, and the other half had hotspots, and it was and I was like that in between, and then there was this rope, because they were doing all these. It was a Halloween special thing, so they had this circus. What was it called? Something like Circus of Horrors or something, and it's all these people doing these dances and like on a rope, so they get hoisted up. And I've got this rope coming over my shoulder, and I'm trying to mix two desks at the same time, and it's like, yep, that's monitors for you.
That is mental. Why did you have two consoles? Is it just like an input thing?
It was well, they've been touring with the X32 for the band stuff, and I'd basically just been brought in for this one show. So they already had the band stuff kind of set up on the X32, but then I had to double some channels over from the SC48, because obviously there's more inputs and stuff, and so I had to mix things back and forth, and there was all these weird things that were going on. But then the orchestra was on the SC48 and a few of the other lines, because there were solo violinists that were walking around with packs and stuff, and they had to be
Oh
run
my
from this
God.
desk. And yeah, it was it was quite a challenge, to be honest with you, but made it through. So yeah, monitors is a different beast for sure. In that case, your client is 100% the band. Whereas it's the same with front of house, but also, where you do front of house, then it's more you just put out what needs to be put out. You're not so much worried about what's going on stage. Whereas when you're doing monitors, it's only about what's going on stage and not the front of house at all. And then the fun starts when you have to do them both.
100%, man. Yeah, I was actually having this exact conversation just over the weekend with a mate of mine. But yeah, it's exactly that. Like, you've got one mix at front of house, but
Yeah.
you're doing up to, well, however many you need to on stage with the band,
Yeah.
And it's, I think I would enjoy the creativity at front of house, because there are certain things that you'd be able to get away with. I remember one specific example. I think we were in LA or something, and the bass player was like, "Listen, I hate compression, so just don't compress anything." And I was like, "I'm going to compress this. I'm going to compress it." And it was knocking just like 3 or 4 dB of this bass, and he was like, "Can you take that compressor off?" And I was like, "Oh shit, okay,
Yeah.
all right." So this guy knows his stuff, But at the same time, I feel like that particular band was full of like producers and engineers that are sort of in their own right, so they know what they want. But
Right.
I feel like with some musicians, they don't know what they want, and you sort of have to mix for them and do stuff for them without them realizing to make it work, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. You have to kind of preempt some things, and then also you have to placate them with like, yeah, no, I there's absolutely no compression on this thing. Just
Yeah.
tell them. If they don't know what they're talking about, then you can kind of bullshit them a little bit.
Yeah.
But
But the
like,
thing is, like, sorry, go ahead.
no, please.
I was just saying, like, you might give them what they want, and you listen to their mix, and you think, how the hell are they like playing?
How
that's-
they happy with
that
this?
Yeah, that mix is dog meat. So So
yeah.
yeah, it's tough, man. But some people are hard to please. But if someone really wants like none of their own instrument in there, and I don't know, just let them have it.
Exactly, man. You just your role is basically just to support them, because at the end of the day, as much as we play a part in the overall show, the audience aren't there to see us do our thing. They're there to see the musicians, and you need to make the musicians as comfortable as you can to do their job. And I always say, if people don't know that we're there, then we've done our job right.
Exactly. Yeah. Just leave your ego at the door, man.
Oh, 100%. Unfortunately, there's a lot of egos in this industry. Which is it's not always great. But yeah. So tell me, you said you've only sort of started touring more recently, but you've been doing studio stuff for about 10 years. Where did your whole journey start? I suppose, were you a drummer first? How did your journey start?
So mine's, I don't want to say this because I don't want to become a stereotype, but it's like the classic engineer story. So I went to uni to study drums, and I studied music performance, and did really well there. Did some like touring as a player after that, and played some festivals, and did some splitter tours, and it was starting to happen for me, which was great. But then I started to develop RSI, which is repetitive strain injury, after I left uni. So this was in like 2014. I remember we did like a run of festival shows, and I was holding a beer, and it just dropped out of my hand, and I didn't even feel it go. And I was like, well,
Whoops.
I can't really see myself touring as a drummer for the rest of my life, So I've been interested in studio stuff, and when I was like 16, I was recording drum covers at home and that. So I thought maybe I should start doing some of that, and I sort of became the guy to go to record drums for a little while. So I had this like awful horrible like rectangular storage unit, which I would record drums in with like, you know, just Samson mics and horrible mic pre's and stuff. But yeah, that sort of worked really well. I started to make some good money out of it. I don't know what people were thinking, but they were paying me. And then, yeah, I got like an actual studio space in South Bermondsey with this band that I was with at the time. So we were sharing that. And then after that, I moved to this massive house, which had like this living room. And so I drilled a hole in the wall and put a multi-core through to this like summer house at the bottom of the garden. Used that as a control room. So I had this like epic like live room control room set up. And that's where I really cut my teeth. That's where I learned a hell of a lot about recording just by doing it.
Yeah, man.
And then I finally moved to this place, which is at the Matrix Complex in Parsons Green.
Nice.
So, yeah, I just sort of just went out there and did it, really. I wasn't going to go back to uni because everyone that I'd spoken to that had done the production thing was like, yeah, it's just a waste of money, man. And I was like, okay. I was like, I wonder how much it costs to do that course. And it's like 12 grand a year or something.
That's crazy.
So I said to myself, I know it's nuts, right? And I'd already spent like 40k on a degree which I could no longer use. So I was like, well, I wonder if I could make 12k in a year instead of spending it. I wonder if I could make that. And I did. So I was like, okay, well, I can spend that on equipment, and just kept doing that, and yeah, that's sort of how it happened, really.
Fantastic,
Happy
man.
accident.
No, well,
Yeah.
I mean, the will was there, and obviously, like you said, you became the go-to guy, and obviously you must have been doing something right. People must have been like, okay, well, we like the sound that this guy's getting, so kudos to you for doing that and getting stuck in.
I think part of it was I was an engineer in a swamp of musicians, because I went to a uni full of drummers, guitarists, bass players, singers. No engineers were there, but I knew all the musicians from having been on the course for 3 years. So everyone's like, "Oh, Finn records. Let's go do something with him."
Fantastic.
So yeah, it kind of worked out all right in the end.
That's
I'm
great,
shit
man.
at everything else. Like, this is the thing. Like, I'm just useless at anything else other than music. So
I don't think that. I've seen your wall climbing videos and stuff. You seem to be getting into that. That's a good outlet. That's physical activity, and there's a lot of sort of planning and stuff going on in there, because you got to grab the right hold, and you got to. My God, have you seen this free solo with Alex Honnold?
Mate,
My
he
God.
is absolutely insane.
My hands get sweaty just thinking about it. It's insane. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
How somebody would want to do that.
Sorry, go ahead, man.
I said how somebody would want to do that. I don't know.
Yeah, he's just batshit crazy, mate. But I find it impressive how much confidence he has in himself to do that kind of thing.
Well, you have to. You can't be 3,000 foot up and then second guess yourself on a fucking hold, which is minuscule amounts. It's crazy. I kind of I got onto him from watching this other guy, I forget what his name is, the guy who climbed El Capitan, the first guy. They were a pair, but this guy, in a carpentry accident, chopped off his finger, like his index finger, and how he had to basically regain the strength in his hand to grip with. It's crazy. It's just that is some super serious dedication, man. It's great to see those things when people really dedicate themselves to something and they become just awesome.
Yeah, he had to like build up the skin, like the toughness of his skin on his thing. So he was dipping it in like rocks and sand and stuff.
Yeah. It's like that scene from Kickboxer where they dip the mitts in glue and then glass and stuff. I don't know if you've seen that with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
No.
It's one of those old sort of 80s movies, Kickboxer, and then, as it goes, he has someone that gets injured by the bad guy, and then he goes and he trains, and then it's this crazy Muay Thai kickboxing championship, but it's all underground, and they wrap their hands in the plaster, and then just to make things extra edgy, They afterwards dip it in glue and then shards of glass, so that when they hurt each other, they really hurt each other. It's brilliant.
That whole world of like training in sports, especially, fascinates me.
Mate,
There's a guy called David Goggins.
he's amazing. I'm listening to his book right now. It's fucking incredible.
Right. The guy's a nutcase, but I
Yeah.
love him.
Yeah.
Like his alarm goes off at like 3 a.m. and it just says attack or something like that.
It's
Like,
brilliant.
kill, wake
Go.
up, attack.
Yeah.
And then runs like 200-mile races and stuff. It's just
Insane.
man.
The other day he was doing 100-mile marathon, and something like 72 miles in or something, he developed a hernia, right? So then he runs to the hospital, which is 20 miles away, gets treated, runs back to the exact spot where he stops, and then finishes the race. It's just, okay, bro, you're crazy.
You do you, mate.
I was listening to, because I've got his book Can Hurt Me. I've got that on audiobook on what do you call it? Audible. And there's a part when he was going through his buds training to become a SEAL, right? And this is like the third time in a year that he had to go through it, because the first time he got pulled off for health something, and then the second time as well he was like all the way through, and then he got something, he had pneumonia or something and he couldn't continue, and then he had to do the third one, and then he had basically both of his legs had shin splints, but so bad that they were like fractures. And what he would do is he would get up an hour before they had to meet on the beach for fucking Hell Week. He would go, and then he would basically take like towels and duct tape his fucking legs so that he could get through the day of running on the beach and doing like it's just okay. That's a serious dedication.
He'd be a good tech man. He's like, gaffer tape fixes anything,
That it does, mate. If gaffer tape can't fix it, it's broken. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're not using enough. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, man. So the drumming, tell me, where did that start? In high school, do you come from a musical family or?
Sort of. Yeah, my mum is a classical pianist. Or at least she wasn't working professionally as a pianist, but she was really good back in the day. And she actually got offered a scholarship to the Royal London Academy when she was like 14 or something.
Wow.
But she was too shy, and then my nana sold the piano as well because they were all broke.
Oops.
So she couldn't go. Yeah. So my mum's musical but doesn't play anymore. My family just all love music. My dad would play Santana records and Thin Lizzy and the Eagles, Fleetwood Mac in the car and stuff like that. So I was always around music constantly. I started on guitar when I was 7. And then got to high school, joined a band, and then got introduced to drums, and then that was it. Never picked up guitar again.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I can hit things. Why would I want to just strum this thing? It's no fun.
Exactly. Well, I picked up sticks and I could play straight away. My mate showed me booms, bat, boom, boom, bat, and I played it. I was like, fuck, this is great. I can actually play this instrument. Because guitar at that age is so hard, like the dexterity that you have to have, and I just couldn't play it. I wasn't born to be a guitar player,
Right.
I remember when I was having guitar lessons in this shop back in Preston, my mum would come and pick me up, and I'd be on the electronic drum kit tapping away, and she was like,
Right.
"Oh shit, we're gonna have to get you a drum kit now, aren't we?"
Okay, well, there goes the neighborhood. Neighbor's gonna love us. Last time we get invited to a barbecue. Thanks, Finn. Brilliant, man.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I mean, drums is just it's a different beast, man. I've tried. I can't. I play guitar, but that's where I draw it.
I think you have it or you don't with drums.
Yeah.
I used to teach drums as well after I left uni, and I had 50 students at one point, and you could just tell instantly. Some people would just have rhythm, others don't, and you can work at it but never quite get it. It's a funny one. Yeah,
no, that it is. It's but music is music. If you can express yourself on an instrument, I think that's that's already a step ahead of most people.
Yeah.
Because I mean, music is such a integral part of everybody's lives. It's one of those things we've always done as human beings is make beats and rhythms and singing, and it's part of storytelling, and it's part of who we are. It helps with communication and everything. So it's if you can do it, then I think you're special.
Yeah, I'm special. No, maybe not in that sense, but yeah.
Special needs, aren't we all?
Yeah, for sure. But
So,
how about you? You got some pretty metal-looking guitars up there behind you.
Yeah, I got the Explorer there, and I got an SG, and then
And a crossbow.
no, this is just a regular compound bow.
Oh, cool. Right.
I've just
Wow, look at that thing.
just put it there because the other one's mounted on the bed. Right. Yeah.
That's
So no, it's
take
fun,
that thing
man.
hunting.
Well, I'd love to, but unfortunately, it's still illegal to bow hunt in the UK, so I won't do until that changes.
Okay.
But maybe I'll take it to Europe sometime soon when I go on holiday, if I ever go on holiday again, and see if I can go on a little hunting trip over there. Otherwise, I might have to go to the States or go back to South Africa to do a bit of bow hunting. But apart from that, yeah, it'll be fun. It's just got to see what's going to be happening soon.
Tell me about your bow hunting career. That sounds super interesting.
Well, I mean, it's not even really a career. I've never been bow hunting.
Right.
I've always loved archery. When I was about, I think maybe 4 or 5, my old man made me a bow from bamboo. And I've always loved shooting arrows and stuff. I was always a bit of a, I don't know, I liked knives and spears and all these sorts of killing instruments. I used to collect knives when I was a kid. I had, the whole collection. I had a hunting knife and a diving knife and all sorts of like flip knives and pocket knives and these and those. And my hands, they can tell you the tale of those because I fucking cut myself plenty of times. But no, I mean, recently with the bow hunting, it's not really bow hunting so much as more just a hobby at present, is sort of, I've always enjoyed doing it. But obviously moving to London, I've fallen out of all that. There wasn't a chance, and then I was like, oh, let me just start researching, because I just assumed that it's all illegal, because in England, it's hard to get a license for a gun and all these things, so I didn't know. But then I did a bit of research and was like, okay, I can do it. So I just bought a bow and started shooting it. I've got a target in the back of my yard, which is about, I'd say I'd get a good maybe 18 meters. So from my back door to the target, so that's nice. And now I gotta kind of shoot in between the shed, because I built a shed for all the carpentry stuff. So I gotta shoot in between that shed and the other shed that we've got so it's just this sort of narrow corridor that I've got to shoot along, which is probably not a bad thing. I can't shoot left or right. Not that I do, but can't shoot left or right and miss the target, because that thing will go straight through the fucking fence, mate. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You should try standing at the front of your house and
shooting it over the top.
Try and hit the target.
My God, I'd rather not. I'm too pretty to go to jail.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, man. There's something to be said for hobbies, especially with a job like ours, or a career in music, especially. I remember when I first got to uni, I had this teacher called Andy Sturgis, and our first lesson, it was like techniques, which is like the most nerdy drum lesson you can have. You just sat there on a practice pad. He was like, so what do you all do? And we were like, oh, we play drums. And he was like, God, you lot are boring. I mean, like, what do you do other than this? And everyone was like, oh, nothing, man. Like, I just, just play the drums, you know. And he was like, you need to get a hobby. Seriously, you need to get a hobby, because if you don't, you're going to end up hating the drums. And it's true. I've been through that many times. You need some sort of change or release or another skill to get good at, you know.
Absolutely, because the thing with that, I've said this so many times, is you need external input to sort of complement your art. You know, if you think along the lines of a lyricist, they can have an imagination and write all these beautiful things, but if you don't have real experience and real world knowledge of the things that you're talking about, I don't know if you would even be able to deliver it with the same passion, you know, or if you can go as in depth. I was making this example to my daughter the other day, because she wants to write this book about Blackbeard's daughter. She's super into pirates now.
Sick.
Yeah, I love it. She went from the Vikings to the pirates, and I was like, "It's all right.
Nice.
They're all at sea."
That makes sense.
She wanted to write, and I said, "No, let's go for a walk. It's a nice sunny day." It's like, "Oh no, I don't want to. I want to write here. I can just imagine the things." I said, "Okay, hold on a second. You can imagine your walk to the park. You can imagine maybe seeing a bird or meeting with somebody, but you're not actually going to do it. So it's not going to be as ingrained in you, and you're not going to be able to convey this with the same, like I said, emotion, or with, you know, make it true if you haven't lived it." And there's this, I've quoted this so many times, there's a samurai from like the 15th century or something who said, he wrote this book, and he said that, you know, you have to, he was also like an artist and a poet, and you know, he did all these other things, and he said you have to be able to do everything that you do with the same intensity than you do your main purpose, and then you can bring all those things back to kind of just complement and make your main thing fuller and you know, more honest and better. It's just it's absolutely
true, man. Completely true. I think that external input is exactly, like, you hit the nail on the head there. It's like, well, could Adele have written 21 without that boyfriend that she broke up with, you know, or would Hendrix have written all those songs without doing all those drugs? Or, you know, whether it's from relationships, substances, hobbies, whatever it is, you know, it's like a two-way street, you know.
Yeah, and it's something as every artist has would have different tastes in terms of hobbies or whatever. So that would make that's the thing that makes their music and their art so unique to them, because they have a different set. Each musician, if you will, or each person would have a different set of interests and things that they then draw from, which makes them unique. And hopefully, you know, we all get to do different things. So it's all unique and great.
Well, that's why you can only imitate, right? You can never be exactly the same, especially as a musician. You know?
Yeah, I mean that's a big one, isn't it? You know, I was speaking to Rick Simpson the other day, and he was talking about his piano playing, because he's quite versatile, and he went down this sort of rabbit hole of how certain people they practice one thing, like let's just say 1920s swing, okay, and they become like that guy. So if you think, oh, look, I'm going to play some 1920s swing, so we're going to get this guy. But the problem with that is then that's all you end up doing. And if you can be a bit more broad in your approach, like I always say, like I don't care to be like the biggest, baddest fucking hunting knife. Right, I'm more like a Swiss Army knife. Okay, I've got a blade that cuts. It cuts well. You can do things with it, but it's also got a little saw in it, and you can fucking saw something. And it's got a little tweezers in it. It's got different things. I've got different facets to me that I do okay. I'm not here to be the fucking best at anything. Obviously, I want to do the things that I do to the best of my abilities, and and also the amount of time that I can dedicate to that, and I have to be realistic to that when I think about my expectations. But yeah, I mean that's me. Other people might prefer to specialize, and then that's them, and that makes it all beautiful. But yeah,
I 100% agree.
I do think that we can't just. Life is just. There's so much stuff out there that's interesting and amazing. Why limit yourself to just this one thing? Because you want to be the best at it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong being the best and dedicating yourself, but for me personally, I think I like to kind of sample everything that's out there.
Yeah, I think the Swiss Army knife is a really good metaphor there because it's more interesting. Like, it's instead of being a one-trick pony, you can be something that's actually got a bit of substance and character and
Yeah, and then you gotta use your brain a little bit and like, how am I gonna attack this problem with this thing, which isn't quite as good as the tool that I needed for it, but I can make it work. So you just have to try and attack it from different ways, different points of view. Tell me a little bit. This you said that after uni you were touring with a band. What kind of music were you guys playing?
It was oh god, I forget her name now. It's so long ago. Kate something. She was a pop artist. I was like sessioning for her basically, and we did. She was like, I think she was signed, had management, publishing, all that, and we were doing like a festival circuit in the south of the UK. So we did like Barn on the Farm. Was one that I remember.
Yeah.
It's like a main stage show. And then a load of London shows and all that kind of thing. So it wasn't like bus tours, rock and roll. It was more like Splitter kind of vibes.
Yep.
But it was good enough for me. I loved it at the time. And I played like Shepherd's Bush Empire as well. A few good venues like that. I remember the first time I sound checked a bass drum in a venue like that.
You're like, what's going on here?
I was like, this is power. Yeah. This is rock and roll.
I've arrived.
Yeah, exactly. Massive sub behind me, like 2 side fills and shit. It was fucking awesome.
It's a good thing you didn't have a butt kicker. Otherwise, you might have had the brown note.
Yeah.
Those things are incredible, man. Honestly.
They're sick, aren't they?
Yeah. It's incredible. And it really helps for you, like in monitor world, it helps a lot. It helps a lot.
Yeah. Totally.
If a drummer can feel his bass drum, then he doesn't need as much of it in the wedge, because they seem to want it at +5 always. It's incredible.
Yeah, high passing everything to like 400.
You're right there. You're right there, mate.
Yeah.
What you gonna do?
Especially on silent stages as well. If everyone's on in ears, and to be honest, I completely get it. Especially having played shows like that as a drummer, you need to feel like some air moving. And if there's no guitar amps on stage, no wedges, it's like the worst when you've just got your ears. So if you have that butt kicker, it's like, yeah, it feels like a show now,
That's it.
So I've done gigs on ears on silent stages, and I've done shows where everyone's had monitors and it's been the loudest stage ever. But it feels better with wedges for sure. It feels like a gig,
Yeah, no, I mean, there's definitely something to be said about in-ears and wedges for the feel, but when it comes, I think when a musician sort of gets used to the ears, it's ultimately better for them, for the health of their ears, and for everything else, and for you,
and the mix,
for you, yeah, it's easier because you don't have to worry so much about feedback and stuff, and you can really give them more of what they like. And how I've always tried to sell in-ears, especially like if I have to do front of house and monitors. When I was going around with ceramic, we did all the festivals as well, and then having to do the monitors and the front of house, and you have to have it up and running in 15 minutes, and it's just it's a hard job, to do. And if they and how I always like to sell in-ears to a performer, especially a vocalist who's quite dynamic on stage in terms of moving around, like Marcus, he was half of the show he was at the Wurlitzer, and the other half of the show he was doing on the guitar, right? So I had to have two separate mixes for all that, but if you're on the microphone and you're here, or if you, even better, if you've got a wireless microphone, instead of having to be here because the monitors are there and that's where you get your sound, if you move this way or that way, then you don't get the full effect of the monitors. But if you've got it in your ears, you can go anywhere on stage and your sound isn't going to change. You're not going to get drowned out. Plus, you'll have the ears molded, so it also acts as attenuators for whatever's going on stage. So you don't have to have things as loud in your ears. Ultimately, I think it's just better. But I think what you're saying for the feel on stage, a monitor is obviously a different thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I 100% agree, and I would always say the same, mainly because the benefits just outweigh the negatives in every sense. Like, yeah, it feels good to be on a live stage, but it doesn't feel good in your ears. The sensation like of your body being in that environment feels good, but I can guarantee you when you do like 6 shows in a week on a Sunday, your ears are going to be fucked.
Absolutely.
It's not going to feel good, and then you won't be able to hear in your 40s.
Yeah,
so,
and also the sort of listening fatigue. I mean, it happens, with both things. Obviously, you can get fatigued from both things, but I think if you've got in-ears, then the volume can be a little bit louder, quieter, and then you don't get as tired, and things still sound the same they did on Monday than they would do on Sunday or Saturday, if you're talking about the 6 gigs in a week sort of thing. Whereas with monitors, and they're gonna have to get louder. I've seen it happen so many times, especially when a vocalist starts off loud on the Monday, because it's all me. Then by Wednesday, it needs to be louder. By Friday, they want to come in for another sound check because it's got to be louder, and it's got to be louder. And then they get on stage during a sound check on the Friday, and they're like, why is everything so loud? Because they've had a little bit of time to, it's like, this is the show from last night, this is where we ended up with. Oh no, turn it all down. And then the show starts, turn me back up again. It's like, what are you going to do?
You're witnessing like the beginning of hearing loss there. That's just progressive deafness in such a short amount of time, a week, man. That's scary.
If you over 90 decibels for 90 minutes is enough to cause damage, and if you do that 6 nights a week, it's unless you go and sit in a quiet room and really take care of your ears, which we all know doesn't happen, because after the show you're not going to go and sit in a quiet room to basically warm down your ears. You're going to get on the sauce, mate. Yeah, absolutely. So it's one of those things that when you're younger, I don't think people, because you're invincible, you just like, yeah, whatever, and then as you sort of start getting older, you're like, fuck, I should have really listened to that guy. But hey, what you gonna do?
I had one experience when I was 15. I was playing a rock show with my high school band, and it was classic massive sub, wedges, loud as hell. And there was a section in the song where I was playing this China, and I was really going for it. Like, there was like 400 people in the crowd. I was like, yeah, this is fucking sick. And I was like proper twatting the cymbal, and I felt my ear, like, I don't think it perforated, but it did something. It just went
oops.
and yeah, it was horrible. And I don't think I noticed the damage until a couple of years ago. Because when I start mixing here, I'm like, God, this right speaker's a bit quiet. What's going on here? And
Oops.
I have a Trinov here, which measures the difference between your speakers.
Yeah.
And there was less than like 0.2 dB volume difference between them. And I was like, I think I'm slightly deaf in my right ear.
Whoopsie.
And yeah, and there's definitely, like, if I'll be led down on the sofa like this, I'll sit up, and then all of the high end appears. It's just, man, horrible. It's like the worst feeling.
I mean, I think that's probably one thing that should be included in any sort of professional musician or audio engineer sort of courses. I think those things need to be included in the syllabus. As you know, it can be one fucking class just on the importance of taking care of your ears, taking care of your vocals. Obviously, a vocalist, you know, they get taught how to warm up and warm down and do all these things the same as what you would do as a musician. You know, you don't just go and play cold. So you won't just go and sing cold. That's just silly. But that's one of the things that I've actually never really seen anybody get into on a course like this. I mean, when I did my degree, we did have a module which had acoustics, and in the acoustics module we touched on your ear health a little bit for one lesson. And I mean, you'd kind of expect that on an audio engineer's course, but I think they need to definitely implement that in musician courses, because if these people can get taught this from a young age, you know, college age or whatever, to take care of their ears as well, I think that would just, you know, make their careers. We did have a
bit of that on my course, to be fair.
Oh, right.
You could buy ACS earplugs for 30 quid, which was brilliant.
Yeah, they're great, those earplugs, man.
Yeah, man, amazing. I had so many sets of them because I lost them all the time. But they were really good. I took them to gigs, and that was a part of the reason why I've looked after my ears so well. It was mainly after that incident in high school, but partly to do with what happened at uni with these earplugs. And I think there is a company out there, you can get them if you can prove that you're like a professional.
It's the Musicians Hearing Help Scheme.
There you go.
Yeah. They're fantastic, man. For professionals, it's £40. I think because you were a student, you probably got that extra tenner off. But they're really good. I had a pair of the 17 dB attenuators, and they were great. Unfortunately, I lost the one as well, because I used to use them when riding my motorcycle as well.
Really?
Yeah, because my motorcycle's a bit loud. So yeah, I used to use those as well, and it's fantastic when you get somewhere, especially if I'm going to work. You get somewhere and you're not tired already. Your ears are protected a little bit. So yeah, those things they're great, and I think it's an essential part of kit for any person who works in a live environment or in a loud sort of environment. It doesn't have to be
rides
live.
the tube every day, man. God, that central line is so loud, mate.
At the Jubilee, my God, when I used to work at Boysdale and Canary Wharf, the Jubilee. But yeah, that was before I got the bike. Fuck public transport, mate. I'm definitely not going back to that shit. I'd rather walk.
Yeah.
Nah.
I tell you what, even I got these Bose headphones. They've got noise cancelling.
Nice.
Which is like phase, I think, basically. When you put them on, it feels like your brain's been sucked out of your ears. But I never go above like 50% volume on these things, and I listen to them all the time. Yeah, I think, God, I just think our generation or my generation we're just all going to be dead and deaf. Our ears are going to be dead in like our 40s and 50s. Although having said that, my dad went to like see Queen and Led Zeppelin when he was a teenager, and he said like for days afterwards his ears would be ringing. So yeah. I think if they can survive it, we'll be okay,
Yeah, fucking hell, man. I saw Motorhead at the Hammersmith Apollo a couple of years ago, and I was sat on the second last row at the top, and my ears were ringing for days, mate. It was so loud. But I mean, it was clear. It was hats off to the engineer, to get it that loud and that clear in the Hammersmith Apollo is fucking incredible. But yeah, I mean, for days my ears were ringing. It was just like, what is this? How is this even possible? How does Lemmy not just like completely turn to liquid on stage? It's fucking insane. But I
Have you
suppose
seen that documentary about him?
which one is that?
I think it's on Netflix. It's God, my brain fails me yet again. But they just sort of follow him around LA and speak to him about his life. And I always thought that like the bottle of whiskey a day thing was a joke, but it's not.
No,
The guy just keeps on going. Well,
yeah,
he
he hit it hard, man. He hit it hard. I mean, he even, not to speak ill of the dead, but I think, even the way in which he died, his cancer was full on rock and roll, wasn't it? It was like he found out he had a tumor, and then 4 days later that was it. At least it wasn't a drawn out affair. I mean, hats off to the guy. He was a fucking brilliant musician. But yeah, I mean, how rock and roll is that? Apart from like dying on a tour bus or something. Which is incredible that he was still alive at the age that he was. He was just going hard. But some people have it and some people don't. I don't know. Some people can just abuse themselves for years and decades and not have any repercussions, where other people, they get one bad trip and that's that. See you later.
That's it. I'm on that side of the fence, mate. I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
I remember this story. I can't remember his name. This was in uni, and he used to teach us like music business and that kind of thing. And he was telling us about, I think he was tour managing Iggy Pop or something in the 90s or whatever. And he said it was like the most disgusting thing he'd seen, because he was just absolutely off his face on heroin, like withdrawing on stage and being sick everywhere. And then like running off the stage, like shooting up, then going back on. And he did that for decades, man. And functioned, well, almost,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like. Yeah, how do you do it?
I don't know.
How do you wake up with a come down every day and then just go and keep on drinking and just?
Well, I don't know. I think the continuation is probably just another way of sort of trying to negate the come down. If you just keep going, then
delay the inevitable.
Then there's no atoning. There's no fucking getting to what would I say, to reckon with what you did the previous day.
If you don't go to sleep, you don't have to wake up, right?
That is true. Or if you stay awake, then you don't have to worry about them nightmares.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I could not do that. Even nowadays, if I have like a beer, I'm like so hungover the next day.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know.
There's one thing I was very, very fortunate that when I used to drink, I never got hangovers, ever. But yeah, I think I had maybe 3 or 4 hangovers in my life where I was really feeling like, I just can't even open my eyes today. But the other times it was just tired, really. I think maybe
That's
it was
impressive.
just a combination of always being tired. Although that's changed now as well. Got some more sleep and got the sauna going, and so yeah.
Good shit. No, that's like some Chuck Norris shit. Hangovers get Chuck Norris.
That's brilliant. Someone sent me one of those Chuck Norrises the other day. He's got a Slurpee, and it's Corona. He's just like slurping Corona.
It's such a classic meme. I love that.
Yeah.
He'll never die.
No, Chuck, man. He's he can just break anything.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
So tell me,
man.
Are you still working down at Ronnie Scott's?
Yeah. I'm still there. I had a gig last Sunday, not yesterday, the day before. But since there's only like really 3 gigs a week, and there's a few engineers, so it comes around when it comes around, really.
Okay.
Yeah, nowadays I'm kind of concentrating more on the carpentry stuff and the food production stuff. Just trying to just keep it going, really. Just make ends meet until all this madness is over, which will hopefully
that sausage
be sooner
that you've been
rather than
making
later.
looks amazing, man.
Oh, mate, yeah.
Dried meats and stuff.
actually, I'm gonna make some wild boar sausage today. That
Sick.
should be nice. Yeah, there's a fantastic website called Kezia Foods, and you can get on there. You can get crocodile, you can get zebra, you can get horse, alpaca, goat, all sorts of exotic meats. And yeah, we put in a big order, and I've got some minced wild boar left, so I'm gonna go make some sausage with
Nice.
that today for dinner tonight, and that'll be good. I made a curry from the wild boar the other day as well, which was really good. Really, really good.
Amazing.
Yeah, man.
I don't think I've ever had wild boar. What's that? Is it like a porky kind of flavor or?
Yeah, it's it's definitely that, but it's much darker. It's a very sort of deep dark red meat. So it's kind of, I don't want to say gamey, because game meat, they differ so much from animal to animal. But it's got a wild taste to it, if you will.
Okay.
It doesn't taste like a domesticated pig, that's for sure. It's very flavorful. It's still quite delicate. It's not as sweet as pork is, but it's still got that porkiness, but then also a wild side, if you will. And yeah, it's very nice. I mean, something I was really surprised with was the zebra, because that was the first time I'd had zebra, and it's very delicate. It's still the same sort of color as horse meat, but it's very delicate, and sort of sweet. So yeah, that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, nice. I had cheval tartare in
All right.
Canada last year, and I saw the tartare. And I was like, oh, it's probably just like beef tartare.
Yeah.
And I started eating it. I was like, this tastes amazing. Like, what kind of cow is this? The waiter was like, it's a horse.
It's not a
mate.
cow,
I was
sir.
like, "Ah, okay. Yeah, yeah.
Oh man, horse meat is
But-
incredible.
Mate, I'll tell you what. If you ever I think it's Montreal, there's a restaurant called Joe Beef, and I think I ate like 9 different animals in one whole like meal.
Fantastic.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was amazing.
Joe Beef.
Joe Beef, yeah. I think it's like the 3rd best restaurant in Canada or something like that. But
Okay.
we were there on tour, and our tour manager was like, "We're going here," and I was like, "Cool, I'm
All right.
I'm down for it."
It said meat. It said meat. I'm there.
yeah.
Yeah, Canada's
Yeah, they
awesome,
are-
man.
The artist was vegan as well, so it was a tough trip for him. But he came along, man. He got involved. He's not like a militant vegan and
Okay.
that kind of thing. But he was like, I think he was more interested than anything.
Okay.
But yeah, it was the one restaurant out of the whole trip we were like, right, we're gonna go eat meat,
Brilliant.
and that's it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
funny because when when I was touring with James McCartney as well, he's a vegetarian, or he was back then. I haven't seen him in a while. But yeah, when we were on tour through the States and Canada, we're all fucking meat eaters, man. So we drag him along to all these restaurants, and he would just sit there and order some salad.
Oh, bless
Poor
you.
guy. Yeah, he was a good
mind
sport.
vegan food, man. Like I've eaten in a lot of vegan places, especially on that tour because of the artist, and yeah, I kind of like any food really.
Well, I mean, really, vegan food is just food, isn't it?
it is.
So
Yeah.
it's
Well, there's good
it's-
food and bad food, in my opinion. It's as
Oh,
simple as that, really.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
I'm not going to start eating cockroaches. That's for sure. It depends on how hungry I get, I suppose. But
Yeah.
I think maybe the neighbor's cat will fall before the cockroaches start going in my mouth.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But I've got to be desperate for that as well. Don't know. I'm not so sure about eating domestic animals, cats and dogs.
Yeah.
But
Well, do you know what? I had this discussion with a friend of mine who's vegan. He said, "Would you eat a dog?" And I said yes, and I would do it to prove a point that I think some animals are for eating and some animals are your friends. I have my dog right here. Actually, he's
there's he.
there. He is.
There he is.
So I wouldn't eat him, but I would eat a dog.
Yeah.
I'd try it.
You'd eat your neighbor's dog.
Yeah.
that
Buddy.
that
Yeah, he's all right. He just woke up.
of course, the studio dog.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about your studio there. I see you've got the control room there, very nice. And then where's your live room?
So I'm not blessed with a live room anymore,
No.
sadly.
Okay.
I do have a vocal booth, which is over here. It's
Grand.
full of fairy lights at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
And this room itself is quite small, but it's got a really nice sort of tight, dry sound for drums.
Fantastic.
Which I still record a lot of. And it's great. You know, it's not as big as the other place, but it's fully soundproofed and stuff, which is amazing. And the building was like properly acoustically designed, so
Right.
you know, it's
So
it's
it's
a good
studio
spot.
design building.
Yeah, like
Okay.
the room is a very odd shape, which is good acoustically.
No parallel surfaces.
Yeah, exactly. I tell you what, the first mix I did in here, it was sounding great, and usually I will reference on like headphones and my van stereo and stuff, and I didn't. I just sent it to the artist, and they were like, "Yeah, with no feedback, it's great. We'll send us the WAV and we'll send it to mastering." I was like, "Okay." So
Okay.
it just goes to show that like if you spend a little bit of money on treatment, it'll save you time.
Absolutely, man. If you go and spend a little bit of, money and time in the setup phase of your studio, getting your monitor placement just right, getting your desk just right, in the right place, in the right direction, it really saves so much time. I mean, you can sort of have the same principle with monitors on stage, right? If you constantly getting feedback and you've hacked that frequency all the way out and whatever, it's so much easier just to move the monitor just back or to the side just a little bit, and then you're going to get a totally different sound on stage, and you're gonna probably maybe have another sort of frequency to deal with, but it'll completely negate the problem that you had with the other one. And so it's just that little bit of time setting things up, it makes a world of difference.
I think one luxury I've always wanted to have as well, mixing mons, is have the same in-ears as the band. If they could get we could all get the same molds for this one tour, then I would be able to tell exactly what you're hearing then, but everyone's using different in-ears, and the impedance is different, so certain headphones are going to be louder than others and all that kind of jazz. So
well, for that it's always good just to have a little reference monitor next to you. That's a lifesaver, man. I really don't like mixing on in-ears or on headphones to begin with. But I suppose maybe that's because I'm kind of more of a front of a house engineer than anything else. I mean, I've done monitors plenty of times, but it's not. And I mean, probably about 99% of my career has been doing front of house and monitors at the same time. So for that, I'd rather not have headphones or in-ears or anything, because I need to be able to hear what's going on here and on stage. But
I think in that scenario it makes sense, because you've got 2 points of reference there, which is weird. You want to have one set of speakers, and if stuff sounds good on those, then it's going to sound good elsewhere.
Yeah, it's the same principle as the Yamaha NS10s, isn't it? They're not the greatest speakers, but if you can get it to sound good on those, it'll sound good everywhere.
Yeah. They're expensive, though.
Well, they are now. They didn't used to be. But now they're, because now they're the thing. I mean, you could always just go for like these. I've got these HS5s or they're still Yamahas.
Are they?
Or these are the 5s. You get or actually these are the HS50s. This is just before they came out with the HS5, 7, and 8s. So it's an older sort of like 2012 model. But yeah, I mean, if you can get something to sound good on these, they're good sounding speakers. They're not quite like the NS10s, but
I used to have a set of those actually before I got these focals. They're wicked speakers, man.
Yeah, really man. They do the job. I mean, I don't really do much mixing here. Nowadays, really just more use it as my cinema cinema speakers because I got the projector and stuff. So we do
Cool.
movie nights in here on the projector. And but yeah, no, it's always. I used to have a nice pair of Genelecs when I was doing the movie stuff. I borrowed it from the studio because I had to do sort of some of the work. I couldn't do the Warner Brothers stuff at home because they were very tight with security. You can't take a file out of the studio.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
But
what were you doing down there?
I was working for a guy who is the international dubbing supervisor for Warner Brothers. He's a hyper polyglot. He speaks 18 languages. So so he would be the dubbing supervisor. So what I did for him was we would get the script and the movies in, and then I would make up Pro Tools sessions where I would have the film and then the audio, and then I would have to make all the characters each have their own track. Then you would go through the film and through the script. Whenever John says whatever, you cut that piece out and then you put it on John's track, so that when we send it for the international regions to do their foreign language dubbing, then they would know, okay, John just speaks here and here and here. They don't have to watch through the whole fucking thing. Because if you hire voiceover actors, it's not a cheap thing, and also you want to know for exactly how long it's going to take to get this guy done before you get the next guy and before you get the next guy and before you. So I did that. I went through the movie with the script and then just cut it out and make sessions for the international studios to go do their voiceover in their foreign languages. So yeah, that's
wild, man.
It was interesting. Yeah, it was fun, man. Got to see all the Warner Brothers movies before they came out.
yeah.
But some of them
went it off by heart.
My God, yeah, oh yeah, Pokemon. I don't want to see that movie ever again, ever. Yeah, but some of the movies were really. Some directors are very secretive. So you'll have basically a blurred out screen with a circle around whoever's talking. So you see the circle jump to this guy because he's talking, and then this guy just around his face, because you obviously have to see. And when they record, they have to try and get the enunciation and the cadence and everything correct with the face. Otherwise, if the guy on screen is shouting and Mr. Actor doesn't know because he's just got a line and he's not shouting, then it's not really going to match up. So yeah, yeah, that was fun, and some old reel-to-reel tape restoration stuff from the 70s. Yeah, that was RX, right? The
Isotope stuff.
Isotope RX, yeah, RX7.
Yeah.
What a fucking program that is, man. I used to have to clean up these old tapes, record them into Pro Tools, then you got to clean them up, and it's a fantastic piece of kit, man. You can just highlight one little piece and cut that out.
That's crazy. The denoise especially is pretty wild.
Just fantastic.
I use declick as well. That saves me time, man.
Yeah,
for all
absolutely.
the vocal pops and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Just run it through, print it.
Yeah,
and then
man.
You go. Then it's funny. I only got introduced to that RX declick a few months ago, and I was like, "This is ridiculous. You don't need to really edit out all those clicks, whatever." Anyway, I used it once, and then after that, I started hearing like all these voice clicks on thousands of records.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh my God, that's so horrible. How have I never noticed this before?" So I just do it all the time now.
Yeah, it's funny, like, because now once I've started doing the, I'm not doing the film stuff anymore, but once I've started doing that, I've started noticing different things in movies, and when sometimes if something had to be overdubbed, for whatever the reason was, and it's not completely in sync or something like that, I'm like, it's not right. It's like, oh, sorry.
You should have used Vocaline.
And I remember when I started my degree, one of our teachers, he said to us, "Do you like listening to music?" We're all like, "Yeah, of course. That's why we're here." It's like, well, then you should quit now, because this course is gonna ruin music for you. I'm like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, once you start dissecting and taking things apart and listening analytically to things, you're not going to be able to go back to just listening to music, because your
So
analytical mind is just going to keep going, and you can't switch it off. And that is very, very, very true.
It's completely true, man. And I tend to view this as a bit more half full, like glass half full, than that. I mean, I certainly don't listen to music in the same way that I used to, because of like the skills that I've developed in mixing and all that kind of stuff. But I started listening to music that I never thought I would, because of that. Like, I started listening to trap and grime over the past few months, just because I love the sound of 808s.
Okay.
You know, and previously I would have been like, oh, you know, that's just not for me. You know, would have never ever listened to it. But now I just listen to music that is good music. You know.
Right. So you listen to the production value and stuff like that as well, rather than just what it's saying.
For sure. Like, I mean, I take Billie Eilish, for example. Billie Eilish is an artist that I would, if you told me I would have been listening to her when I was 16, I would have laughed in your face. But the production's insane. Like, and it's as simple as that, you know. So I love her record. It's just incredible. Yeah. Especially because it was done in their bedroom as well, man.
Really? Well,
yeah.
I can't say that I know any of their music, to be honest with you, but maybe I should check it out. Yeah. She
won like 6 Grammys last year.
Wow.
Mental. And she's 19 years old or something like that.
Wow. That's pretty incredible. A new, what's that ginger guy's name?
Ed Sheeran.
That guy, yeah.
Yes, nailed it.
That guy. No, he's actually a lovely guy. I got to meet him a couple of times, probably about 10 years ago, really. He was just sort of starting out, and there was a few sort of gigs that I'd done where he was on, and he was a lovely guy, very nice, down to earth guy. So, you know, can't fault him. I don't. His music is not my style.
Right.
To try and put that as kindly as I can.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not for me. It's not for me.
Not your thing.
Not for me. No.
Yeah.
I'm more of a rock and roller. That's for sure.
Yeah. Through and through.
Yeah, bro.
But that's the thing. At the same time, I really respect that. Like, I know a lot of guys who are metalheads, and they will just always be metalheads. They're metal guys. They listen to metal. They play metal guitars. They play an Ibanez, you know.
Yeah.
They have like a Marshall 100-watt double stack, and that's what they do.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I don't quite have the 100-watt, but I've got a TSL over there.
Sick. Well, there you go.
Everybody was like, "Oh, that's not so good." I love that amp, man. Just the warmth of it's great. Love it. Yeah, man. So, what have you got coming up? You said you've got a little session coming up this afternoon, and then what else have you got going?
Yeah, so with these guys, we're doing 4 tracks, like a indie shoegazy kind of thing.
Is shoegazing back then, is it?
Say again?
Is shoegazing back now, is it?
I guess so. I don't know. It's got elements of shoegaze in there.
Okay.
It's kind of similar to oh god, what are they called? Wolf Alice, that kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah, we're doing an EP with those guys. We're still in like the songwriting pre-production stage. So I'll be working with these guys for probably a solid month or so now, which is great. And beyond that, not a lot really, man. Just it's quiet at the moment.
Going from one thing to the next.
Yeah.
I take it you haven't
booked in, but
you had touring booked in.
Oh, I had a lot. I've got some booked in for the end of the year. I'm going out with Dodie for a week in the UK in September, I think.
Okay.
So hopefully that'll go ahead. And then maybe the US and Europe next year, but
nice.
Who knows?
Is that on monitors?
No, just backline.
Okay.
This time.
Yeah. Okay.
Probably a bit of audio teching as well. I do a couple of different sort of things on that gig.
Great, man.
Pete, yeah, it should be fun. Pete, the MD, is going to teach me how to use Ableton as well, because he's got this like crazy Ableton rig that like does pedal changes and patch changes for the whole stage. So he needs a bit of a hand with that. So yeah, so I'm a bit of a chameleon on that show.
That's great, man. No, you got to make yourself indispensable. And if you can learn Ableton Live is such it's such a good bit of software. What you can do with it it's incredible. It's fantastic. And, I've never really been into Ableton so much myself, because it's kind of more of the electronic music side of it, which I don't know why I haven't, but I just haven't. It's always been Pro Tools and Logic, because it's more of what I do. But I mean, I'm really just a live engineer. So, but Ableton is a very good skill to have. So definitely get stuck in there, man. Then you can take over from, if he's not there or whatever. It's always good to know one extra thing. Just be that Swiss Army knife, bro.
That's it, yeah. Yeah, man. There's a lot to be said for that, and I've started to learn Pro Tools recently, which is good. I think, like you say, it's just good to have, not be a master in everything, but not a jack of all trades either. Have enough knowledge just to get by, which is exactly what I'm trying to do with Pro Tools at the moment.
Yeah. No, do what you do it well. Don't spread yourself too thin. Because you don't want to do that either. But I say definitely pick a few things, and be good at them. But again, that's me. That's it. Everybody's got their thing, and everybody they've got their road to walk. So if they want to be good at one thing or exceptional at one thing, then hats off to them. But for me, I've kind of always known that, because even like, when we were in school and we were dancing, like I didn't always want to do the same dance. I wanted to do different things. I would get bored of doing the one thing all the time. So, I've always been a bit more of a variety kind of guy, because I played rugby, but I also did drama, and I sang in the choir. So I was doing sort of everything in school as well.
That's cool, man.
So, it's I think if we can, definitely, get different inputs into your art, and be able to work under different conditions. Do, like you said, do the live thing, do the Ableton thing, do the stage teching thing, and then be great in the studio and do those sorts of things. But then also know Ableton and Pro Tools and Logic, and just make yourself indispensable. I think it's the only way to move forward, really.
I think it's so important, man. Like these days, you have to be that Swiss Army knife, man. You can't just be a guitar player anymore. You can't just be a drummer. You have to be like a teacher, an engineer, or you have to be something else that complements that gig to survive, really. It's very rare that you'll find someone who's just a drummer,
Yeah.
Unless you're like one of the legacy guys, or, someone like Pete Biggin. But he has a studio as well. He's an incredible engineer, man. Great producer. Fantastic. He's a really nice guy. Yeah. Because you know him as well, don't you? I teched for him once on a gig a long time ago.
Okay.
It was a PB Underground show. But I've only met him a couple of times, but he's a solid dude.
Yeah, he's a lovely guy. Really, really lovely guy. Just, humble and down to earth, and also very knowledgeable. He knows what he's talking about. But not. Yeah,
he does. He knows his onions, mate. That's
but
for sure.
not in an arrogant way, which I appreciate all the more, because I think if everybody can just kind of take a step back, and be a little bit more empathic, especially in the climate in which we live in right now, where people are very quick to throw rocks. But if people can just like chill the fuck out a little bit and understand where other people are coming from, that just I think we would move forward as a species much quicker if all the
100%.
ego, because as you said at the beginning of this thing, is like, leave your ego at the door, man. Let your conduct, speak for you, rather than your mouth.
Yeah, but just communicate clearly as well, man.
Oh,
This is another
absolutely.
conversation I was with a buddy of mine just the other night, and he said most of these issues that you might have on a gig or in any kind of working environment is like 9 times out of 10 due to like lack of clear communication,
Yeah.
and
Or-
that might be misinterpreted as ego, but it most of the time it is just speak
Well-
up and just say something clearly.
Yeah, I mean, there's something to be said about that as well, because even musicians, doesn't matter who they are and how good they are, sometimes being an artist also lends itself to being a little bit more sensitive, as a sensitive natured as a person. So a lot of the times, maybe somebody who might seem very confident on stage doesn't have that confidence to communicate with you what it is that they want and all that. So obviously you gotta take that into consideration. Is this person just maybe introverted or shy, or that's one thing that we as engineers and sort of technicians always have to be very aware of. You have to be able to read people, and luckily, I mean, with our job, we get to meet a lot of people. So your skills at not judging someone, but to be able to sort of like suss someone out,
Read them
very quickly.
Yeah.
That those skills, they just climb every day, because you meet so many different peoples of varying talent and stages in their career and personalities and everything, and you get to be able to sift through the fucking noise there and see what this person, are they just shy or are they actually an asshole?
Yeah. It's 90% of the job, man. Like
Yeah.
pushing faders and applying EQ and compression is hardly any of it.
Yeah.
Most of it, especially if you're touring, like you're dealing with people, having people skills is so important.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah. I
shocking
always
how
say
many people
it's
don't have them.
No, I always say it's a 50-50. You got to be a good engineer, know what you're doing, know what you're talking about, and being able to work under pressure. But then also you have to be a person. You have to just be. You have to be.
Be a person.
Yeah, just be somebody who's also sometimes a shoulder to cry on or whatever. You got to be both. And goes hand in hand, because if you're the best engineer in the world but you're an absolute asshole, you're gonna probably work for, I don't know, maybe 6 months before people don't want to work with you anymore.
Exactly, mate. And
or
I think what you were saying about Pete is a really good example of that. There's a reason why nice people are successful. No one wants to work with an arsehole.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, there are still those out there, and I don't know. I think I've found that the majority of them have good managers, or
Yeah.
Someone to kind of shield the asshole from. It's like a buffer.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've seen that very many times. But the majority of people who are successful and have a track record and a long career are people who are quietly assured of themselves, who know what they're doing, and they don't need to blow their own horn so much, unless it's on stage. Then they got to blow the horn all the time. But it's
That's what they're there to do, right?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they're not there for their looks most of the time. Anyway, listen, man, I've had a really great time with you. I think maybe we can arrange another one sometime soon.
Yeah, 100%.
I'd love to, but I gotta go get some luncheon on the way and get cracking with that wild boar sausage.
It sounds awesome.
Yeah. Lovely, man. And send me all your social media stuff that you're happy to share. And then I'll put it in the comments and we can go from there.
Fantastic. Thanks
Thank
for
you,
having
man.
me again, though. Really
Yeah,
appreciate it.
absolutely. Yeah. Good luck with your session this afternoon, and I hope it goes well.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, bro.
See you in a bit.
All right. Well, there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed that as much as I have. And I will be posting Finn's socials in the description, as will I do mine. As always, you can get in contact with me, with him, with everyone you want, and catch up and see how we're all doing. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, keep it sound.